What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. Another mock draft Monday, not going up on a Monday, going up on a Wednesday this time. But we're going to do the same thing as always. We're going to go over the news, we're going to do a mock draft from a different spot, and hopefully we can do another thing like last week. I experimented with taking a tight end early. We'll look over maybe something new we can do in this mock draft. But the news is the most important thing to start off with. So the Steelers have come out and said they are pretty much going to take a running back in the draft, and they're unlikely to sign James Conner to a new deal. So I believe he's entering the final season of his rookie contract. So it's not that he's not going to be a Steeler, it's that they're not going to lock him up. They're going to see what they can get in the draft. It's obviously a big blow for James Conner. And given where he's going right now, I think I have actually already taken him in a mock draft. With this new news, I don't think at his current ADP in like those middle rounds, you should really be touching him. Geronimo Allison has signed with the Lions. He'll be the wide receiver 4 behind Golladay, Jones, and Mendola. So not someone we're really looking at unless there's an injury outside of like really deep leagues. Funchess signs with the Packers. Could be interesting from like a potential touchdowns perspective, but it's not a very big deal. It's more incentive based. So definitely a name to remember, but not someone, if like I was doing my draft right now, I wouldn't even really consider taking him at this moment in time. Bruce Arians has said that the Bucks are looking for a pass catching back. Kind of figured, given that they want to protect Brady. Brady really values pass protection and pass catching running backs, and we know that even though Barber is gone, Jones was never going to step into that role fully. He was horrendous in pass protection last year. He was fine in the receiving game because like when they used him, he had some really nice plays off the screens, really nice yards after the catch, but he was benched multiple times for just failing completely in pass protection. And you're going to tell me that they're going to put him out there with Brady? No, that's not going to happen. So look for them to get someone, and it'll really just depend on where they go. I mean, if they go early in the draft after a running back who's known to be a great pass catcher and a great pass blocker, we should be targeting that guy in drafts because they're going to use him a lot. So it really just depends who they take, when they take him, the value of that player, and Ronald Jones. But right now, you can't really touch him. The Broncos have said they want Melvin Gordon to be their bell cow. I don't get why they hate Lindsey so much. Like, I don't know why they got Melvin Gordon. I don't know why they want to feature him when they have two okay running backs. I don't fully get it. But like right now, you can't draft Lindsey because his name value alone is going to have him go higher in drafts than he should be. And I'm honestly still staying away from Melvin Gordon. The Cardinals re-signed DJ Foster. Good news for Drake because let's say they let go of DJ Foster and they bring in someone who could actually compete with Drake, that'd be a little concerning. But if they start the year with Drake, Edmonds, Foster, then, I mean, we should have a lot of confidence in Drake as a running back 1. The Jets signed Brashard Perriman to a 1-year deal. Flashed late last season. But remember where he's going from and going to. I'm not saying that the quarterback itself is a huge downgrade, but the situation, right? I mean, the Bucks chucked the ball a ton, and late in the season, he was like the guy in the offense. Well, he's not going to be the guy on the Jets. I mean, he'll be like one of the top options. But he's not going to be the guy, and the overall volume is going to be much lower. Scoring chances is going to be lower, so it's a big downgrade, and I feel like it's possible people hype him up a little bit too much, but we'll see. The Panthers signed Robbie Anderson, so I guess if you're wondering why did Perriman sign with the Jets, well, that's why, because they lost Anderson. 2 years, $20 million, which is actually a pretty decent payday. Like, that's a solid contract for Robbie. He'll be the number 2 behind DJ Moore. It'll push Curtis Samuel into the slot. That's a downgrade, obviously, for Samuel. He's going to see less targets. I don't think this really affects DJ Moore all that much. Fantastic young wide receiver, still going to be the alpha in the offense. I guess it potentially takes some targets away, but I think the offense as a whole is going to be better with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback, so I think that makes up for it. So I'm not concerned about DJ Moore, but Robbie Anderson's a name to consider. It'd be nice if we had OTAs, we had training camp, we had preseason, where we could kind of see where they're going to fit in the offense. The problem is, it's looking like we're not going to have OTAs. It's looking like if training camp even happens, it's going to be delayed or it's going to be potentially closed off to the public. So this summer is going to be very interesting because we're not going to have all the information that we're used to having. It's possible beat writers just aren't even allowed to watch anything. So we're going to be relying on like rumors and that's it. So it's going to be tough with players that are changing teams to know exactly what their role is going to be. Hate to concern you like that, but that's probably going to be the reality of this season. Panthers, also news for them. I don't think I talked about this in the last one, but I actually forgot, so I just threw it on here. They're done with Cam Newton. The Cam Newton era is over. Wasn't surprising after they, were rumored to be in the market for Teddy. Pretty much knew Cam was gone. I expect him to sign with the new team. I expect him to be a starting quarterback this season. Where he goes will determine his value. And until he goes somewhere, you obviously can't take him in fantasy. So that is everything as of March 31st in the morning. Now we do the mock draft. But first, actually, I wanted to bring up, we redid the site. So it was down for a little bit, and obviously it didn't have fantasy content, or it had some NBA content for a little bit. But I redid the site, and I think the biggest thing you guys will like is the new data section. So you can just go there completely free, right under the data tab, and you can just see pretty much whatever you want as far as data. Thought that'd be cool. Search bar, I don't know. Let me know if you think anything should change on it. It's not like I have that much flexibility, but if there's something else you want to see, if there's a different feature you want to see added to it, let me know. But you got that there for you. So, mock draft. We've done 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. I didn't plan for it to happen like that. And we're also doing 1 now, so no even numbers for us. But we're doing 1. I've been doing some late ones in a row. Same setup as usual, half PPR, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver. You got your typical bench and no kicker and the 1 flex. So, let's start things off. Initial thought on the first spot is that I don't like it. Just because I don't see a huge gap. Obviously, you're going Christian McCaffrey. At the point right now, you're just going McCaffrey. But would I be upset if, I had to settle for Saquon Barkley? No. Ezekiel Elliott? No. So I guess, wouldn't you prefer to have a 2-3 pick and still get a player that's incredible? But obviously, I don't think right now there's a case against McCaffrey. Obviously, the touchdowns are random, like we saw 2 years ago with those stretches that he had where he just didn't score, like we saw with Alvin Kamara this season where he had a massive stretch where he didn't score. But the offense is going to be better. So he's still probably going to score the touchdowns. We know they're going to use him in the receiving game. It's just, he's so safe. He's so incredibly safe. So just take him at 1. Wow. Kelsey's still on the board. Let's just scroll through. We've got draft log. We'll scroll through the first 2 rounds because usually I don't do this, but it's such a long time between these picks that we kind of need to go over at least a little bit of what happened. And it's always interesting to see in different drafts what happens because in the last draft, what was I at 9, 7? It was either 7 or 9. And I took Travis Kelce in that early to mid second round, but he's available in the last pick of the second round this time around. So that's interesting. And I will touch on that in a second. So McCaffrey, Barkley, Zeke, Dalvin Cook, then Michael Thomas goes as the first wide receiver, then Alvin Kamara, Mixon goes at 7, then Henry, Adams, Godwin, Jacobs, Chubb, pretty common first round. Second round, Hopkins, Aaron Jones, Odell, then Julio, Tyreek Hill, Galladay goes pretty early. Fournette, Mike Evans, Austin Eckler, Amari Cooper, and George Kittle goes before Travis Kelce. So I would actually consider taking Kelce at this spot. But what we noticed in the last draft was this is essentially what you're doing. You're saying, at least where I was the time before, I had the opportunity of taking Travis Kelce or Josh Jacobs. Now, I went Kelce, but looking back, I think my team would have been better taking Jacobs because you fast forward to round 11, I could have still had Mike Gesicki. Instead, I ended up taking Boston Scott. And you ask yourself, if everything else remains constant, which it would have, likely at least, it would have been roughly constant. Would you rather have Travis Kelce and Boston Scott or Mike Gesicki and Josh Jacobs? And I put the poll out on Twitter. I had my own thoughts. Everyone came to the same conclusion. We would rather have Mike Gesicki and Josh Jacobs. You want to have that elite running back, and there are so many tight ends late in the draft, even like mid to late in the draft, especially this year, probably one of the deepest years we've seen in a long time. You should wait. You should always look at value. Last season, there were just fewer tight ends, so you had more value at the tight end position. This year, they've actually gone up in the draft, and yet there are more of them. There are more tight ends this season that I'm willing to take in the mid to late rounds than there were last year. So why would I spend a second round pick on Kittle when last year he had more value and he was going in the third round? What? I don't know. But he would definitely be an option late second, Travis Kelce, because typically he's going to go earlier than that. But what are our other options? Our other options, I'll switch to my roster here so you guys can see it. And also I moved my face up to this top part because some of you complained it was covering some of the bench. So you can see the bench now. And I was going to move it over here, but then you couldn't see this. So throw it in the corner. Running backs. Miles Sanders, Kenyon Drake, Chris Carson. That's probably all I would consider. Also, worth noting, we have 2 picks here. So we could just destroy running back and go like McCaffrey, Miles Sanders, Drake, and just be like, yes, this is what I want. I'm not sure I'm going to do that, though. Let's see what's at wide receiver. So DJ Moore, a guy I really like. Allen Robinson, Cortland Sutton, Keenan Allen, A.J. Brown. Some really nice options. I don't see anyone that stands out a ton ahead of everyone else. I would say that Moore and Allen Robinson are like the 2 guys I would consider at this spot. But I don't see anyone standing out. It's really tough to know exactly who's going to be left on the board at this next spot. But I do think there's going to be some decent options available. And then, of course, we mentioned we go with Travis Kelce. And we have our pick at all the quarterbacks. But you guys know, do we test it? That's interesting. Okay, so we said we usually test things here. What if we test it out for the people who really like taking quarterbacks early? First pick in the 3rd round, go Lamar Jackson, see what happens. I think that's what we're going to do. And I only say I think that's what we're going to do because we already tested Kelce. And I think if this were my draft, I would take Kenyon Drake and then I would take DJ Moore. But I'm curious. DJ Moore plus, we'll just guess again, I don't know what will end up happening, but like 11th, 12th round quarterback, or Lamar Jackson plus 11th, 12th round wide receiver. I don't know, but let's find out. So we're going to take Kenyon Drake, and then we are going to take Lamar Jackson. So the beginning of our draft is Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, and Kenyon Drake. Would be nice to take a wide receiver here. I know a ton of them are going to come off the board. But would be nice to at least one of these picks take a wide receiver. And there are still plenty of guys that I really like. There's also running backs I really like. Okay. Remember the cliff. Remember the cliff at the running back position. It's basically, we'll say here, kind of. And I would almost consider James Conner on this cliff as well. But after Lindsey. So you get into that David Johnson, Hunt, Geis. I mean, these aren't guys that I have a bunch of confidence in. So it would be nice because you always want to have like at least three running backs you feel good about. I take Mac in so many of these mock drafts, but I just think he's being undervalued right now. So if we took Mac, we'd be pretty set at running back. We wouldn't need to consider it for a few rounds, and that would be nice because these next few rounds are just pretty bad in trying to find elite running backs. But I love Calvin Ridley. I really like T.Y. Hilton. I really like Adam Thielen. And my thing is, if I'm looking at this team and I can start off like Like if you tell me I'm going into week 1 with Ridley and Thielen as my wide receivers, I'm very confident in that. And since I've already stacked out quarterback, I've got McCaffrey and Drake, who I love at running back. I've built a starting roster that I'm 100% sure these guys can be used in the offense. There's no scenario where, aside from injury, obviously, we can say that for anyone, so we throw it out. Aside from injury, we know Adam Thielen is the guy in the wide receiver core for Minnesota. We know Calvin Ridley has a massive role in Atlanta. And then we know, obviously, McCaffrey, we know Lamar Jackson, and every indication is that Kenyon Drake has a massive role. And that's what I want to do in these first 5 rounds, is say, who am I just sure? I am sure that these guys are going to be used. And if I can fill out this starting roster, it's really nice. So I'm kind of considering that. My only problem is that cliff with Marlon Mack. But I need to guarantee one of the wide receivers. And honestly, since I don't really know who I would take between Thielen and Ridley, I am just going to take both of them. So I think that's a really good start so far. Hopefully I didn't hurt ourselves too much at running back. But then again, you got to think about it. We took McCaffrey. So in every week but one, we're like locking in incredible production. And obviously I'm very confident with Drake. So usually I do like to take like 3 running backs to have that running back in the flex spot. But you could sacrifice a few points at the running back position if you have McCaffrey, because he's going to make up for it. When he scores 30 every week, just pretend you took 10 of those and you threw it to your running back too. And anyone that had McCaffrey last year knows this. Like, you didn't need to have another incredible running back when you have McCaffrey. Something to think about. But it would be nice to grab another dude. Honestly, what are your guys' thoughts on David Johnson? Leave that in the comment section. Like, offensive line, not so good. They're not going to score nearly as many points losing Hopkins. But, they're paying him so much money, you have to think they're going to feed him, right? You have to think they're going to give him his carries, give him his targets. But one thing, it's not like Deshaun Watson threw to his running back all that much, right? Even when he had Duke Johnson, who's an incredible pass-catching back, how much was he used? Like, not that much. And he's still there. So how many receptions can we really think David Johnson is going to get? Maybe not that many. And maybe the Cardinals were, I know he was hurt most of last season, but maybe they were looking at him when he was healthy and they're like, honestly, you're not that good anymore. So we can't be sure about that, but there's risk in David Johnson for sure. Kareem Hunt, I almost feel like, has a lot less risk. When he came back, he was a pretty solid flex option, right? Obviously, we know Nick Chubb's getting a ton of work, but there were definitely plays where they're both on the field. Kareem Hunt was getting work near the goal line. Kareem Hunt was getting work out of the backfield. He was used pretty heavily. And so if you're going to tell me I'm relying on him as my running back 1, absolutely not. But if I'm relying on him as a flex, I'd consider that for sure. And I honestly can't say that about many people left on the board. You guys know, as of right now, I like Jordan Howard. But there's also rumors that they're going to go after someone in the draft. And if they go after someone in like those first 2 rounds, you can't really draft Howard at that point. But I don't think anything's going to change in Cleveland. So that's my one thought, is that we go with Kareem Hunt and then a wide receiver. I would probably take McLaurin. I actually do see a little bit of a drop-off. I like Galladay, but I see a little drop-off after McLaurin just because, who else are they going to throw to? He is just the guy in that offense, and he was so good last season. So I really like him. And again, I don't think you need to take tight ends early. I think we can wait a little bit longer at tight end. So maybe we do that. We go Kareem Hunt. It doesn't really matter which one we take. Kareem Hunt, Terry McLaurin. To be honest, week 1, I feel like I would actually start McLaurin in the flex spot, but this is just mock draft, so who cares? So, what's left? Running back. We got Sony Michel. I mean, probably not. Jared Stidham is he's not just horrendous, but it's obviously a downgrade. And Sony Michel was always better in games where the Patriots are scoring a bunch of points because he's very touchdown dependent. Can't imagine that he's going to be that great in fantasy this season. Really, none of these running backs I'm excited about. It's purely handcuffs and upside options at this point. And since we have McCaffrey, like I said, we're pretty much good at that spot. I'm just curious kind of who. So Ronald Jones did go in the 8th round. Henderson, Darrell Henderson. I always mix him up with D'Angelo, the guy who was he on? Was he on the Broncos for a bit and Washington? I don't remember which teams he played for. But I always mix his names up. But Darrell Henderson or Darrell Henderson, however you're actually supposed to pronounce it. He goes in the 8th round, so that's interesting. Would have considered him at this spot. But we're good at quarterback. I said we'll wait at tight end, so let's take a look at wide receiver since we did not take one in the first 3 rounds. We've got Williams, Anderson, Emmanuel, Slayton, Deontay Johnson we like, but I could probably wait a little bit on him. Perriman is actually going later than I thought. I thought this would kind of be the range Perriman would go. Would be maybe the 10th. I don't even know round run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're in the 8th round. Yeah, I predict the 10th round would be where Perriman goes. It's not an incredible amount of options, but there are definitely guys who we could get by with. Probably a good option would be taking one of each. So who would I take? The experts say Mike Williams, but I'd be a little bit concerned with that, given that at the current stage, it's looking like Tyrod Taylor's going to be his quarterback. And I'm not saying that he's bad. I'm just saying that's a downgrade. And he was already pretty inconsistent. So I'm not pumped about that. Honestly, I feel like it would be Emmanuel Sanders. Again, I know I've taken him in every mock draft. But why not? I mean, I know that the volume's not going to be there. But the scoring opportunity will be. He's still a great wide receiver. This is going to be a really nice boost in just the overall offense and obviously quarterback, because Drew Brees is one of the best quarterbacks in the game. I don't really see anyone else. I'm not pumped about Miller or Jeffrey or Marvin Jones or really Robbie Anderson. So maybe we actually just look at running back. I don't love the position that we're in right now. Who's got upside here? No, I'm not taking Sony. I guess you could take Cohen, but I don't love that. You could take Latavius, I guess. I guess Latavius wouldn't be a bad pick. Well, when you don't know what you're supposed to do, maybe you just take a tight end at that spot, right? I mean, no, I don't even think we should do that because all these guys are the same. Like Cook, Higbee, Fant, Goddard, Hawkinson, Gesicki, probably a drop-off after that. Those are all the same pick to me. So here's what we'll try and do. We'll take one running back, one wide receiver, hope that tight end is available in the next spot. I guess we'll just take, I don't have a saint, right? We'll take Latavius just for the upside, because if Kamara were to go down like he did last season and you can pair Latavius, who'd be a running back 1, with McCaffrey and Drake, I mean, you're just loaded at running back. So we've got that sort of upside. And then we'll take, do we want to take both? Well, they're both backups, so it wouldn't really matter. We'll take Emmanuel. We'll hope that one of the tight ends, although I feel like I did this in a mock draft before, and then all of the tight ends went away. I don't even think any of them went. Okay. So we have all of them to choose from again. We'll definitely take one in this spot. So who would I pick? Honestly, probably Noah Fant, but I'm cool if you took him or Gesicki. I really do like Gesicki this season. I'm going to take Fant. Should look again to take a shot at running back. Who would I take? Probably Tony Pollard. Again, we're just looking for upside with these running back picks, so that Murray, Pollard, those guys, you're not expecting them to give you any sort of points early in the season, but if something were to happen, these are guys who win you a championship. And if you load up your bench with enough of those guys, it's going to work out. Oh, nice. And we got Deontay Johnson. I feel like I'll make videos about Deontay Johnson going over why I like him so much, but I think he's good. I think he's a good receiver. You guys know I've just never been a James Washington fan. Like I just haven't been. I think Deontay Johnson is better, and it can't get worse than it was last season for him in situation, and he still did pretty darn good. So I'll take him. Then we're going to have one more pick. We've got Ridley, Thielen, McLaurin, Emmanuel, Deontay. I feel good about that wide receiver core. I think we should take another shot at running back. And I could handcuff Drake. You guys know I don't love handcuffs. But if you're going to tell me that by taking Drake and Edmonds, I've pretty much guaranteed, like the odds that DJ Foster becomes... DJ Foster, right? That was his name? Yeah, DJ Foster. I'm thinking of... there's another running back that has a really similar name. I can't remember who it is. But the odds that he becomes the starting running back is like slim to none. So as long as they don't take someone in the draft and you've got Drake and you've got Edmonds, you're like, listen, I understand my logic that by doing this, I'm saying Edmonds only works out if my other pick, my third round pick, doesn't work out, or my second round pick. My second round pick doesn't work out. That's not good. I'd rather both of them work out. But also, I'm pretty much guaranteeing running back one production from one of these guys to go along with McCaffrey. So it's like a safety thing, I guess. I really don't like doing it unless you're guaranteeing it. Because so often I see people say, I'm just going to take the handcuff, but they don't realize that the handcuff is not going to perform like the starter did if the starter goes down. Like you don't take a handcuff of Cohen to David Montgomery. If David Montgomery goes down, Cohen doesn't just step in to like 25 carries and 7 receptions. But if Drake goes down, Chase Edmonds probably just steps in and completely takes over that role. So there's only a few guys I would do it for. And Chase Edmonds would be one of those people, at least as of right now. So our last pick is just the defense, which I'll say probably for almost the entire summer. Every week I'm going to be like, haven't looked at the first 4 weeks yet. But that's what we always do. Just look at the first 4 weeks, try and find like 3 or 4 defenses that have a very easy schedule, and just take them. Wow, we got an A-. We don't look at that. But I guess it's encouraging. So there is the team. I actually really like this team because I think the starting lineup is solid. So we've got Lamar at our quarterback position, McCaffrey, Kenyon Drake, Calvin Ridley, Adam Thielen, Noah Fant, Kareem Hunt in the Saints defense to start things off. Really solid starting lineup. We've got McLaurin, Latavius Murray, Emmanuel Sanders, Tony Pollard, Deontay Johnson, and Chase Edmonds. I like the bench too because I feel really good about those wide receivers. I think that I can find 3 wide receivers every week. I only need to find 2, but I can find 3 every week that I feel good about. And so the rest of my bench is just upside. Does Alvin Kamara get hurt? Does Zeke get hurt? Does Kenyon Drake get hurt? Any of those things happen, I'm just launching in a running back 1 into my running back 2 spot. That'd be really nice. So, do we see who we could have taken? So we took Lamar Jackson in the 3rd round, and our option at that point was DJ Moore. That was basically who I was saying I would take. So we could have had like Carson Wentz, I guess. Would it be this way? No, we couldn't have had Carson Wentz in that round. We'll just say Stafford in the 12th. So Deontay Johnson goes there. So would you rather have Matthew Stafford and, am I doing this right? DJ Moore? Yeah, I'm doing that right. Okay. Would you rather have, in the comment section, Matthew Stafford and DJ Moore or Lamar Jackson and Deontay Johnson? I'm going to think about it for a bit. I'll post it on Twitter. I guess later in the day this goes up. Initial thoughts would be close. Honestly, I think that's really close. Because you can pretty much guarantee you're getting yourself 25 points every week with Lamar Jackson. And Deontay Johnson, I think, has a nice season. I don't think he has anywhere near the upside that DJ Moore does. But I think he has a nice season. And then Stafford was really, really good before he got hurt last year. Obvious downgrade from Lamar Jackson, consistency and upside. But you're also getting DJ Moore, who you'd probably have as your wide receiver 1 all season. So I don't know who, but let me know in the comment section, and I'll give my answer in the next Mock Draft Monday when we try something else. So that'll do it for this one. Hope you all did enjoy. If you did, how about you hit that like button? How about you subscribe to the channel if you're new? Thanks for watching.